Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the moccasins of a 19th century Cherokee Bible translator. Imagine waking up in 1820s Georgia, where the air smells like damp earth and burning oak. Though honestly, you might not survive day one without modern medicine. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment too. Tell me your city and the exact time you're listening. Maybe someone in Oslo is hearing this at midnight while you're sipping morning coffee. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your earliest memory is a collision of sounds. Outside the window, your grandmother's voice braids the Cherokee story of Selu, the corn mother, her syllables soft as corn silk. Inside the log cabin, a missionary's wife taps a slate with chalk, drilling English vowels into your 6-year-old skull. She insists, mouth gaping like a startled fish. You mimic her, but your tongue feels heavy as river stone. At night, you dream in tangled threads. Kananesti thunder rumbles while umbrella floats by like a black mushroom. Your mother laughs when you mix languages at breakfast. You'll be a bridge, she says, handing you a bowl of kanuchi, pounded hickory nuts swirling in water like liquid amber. You don't know it yet, but this is your superpower, seeing two worlds at once. When the missionary reads Psalm 23, you taste wild onions in the green pastures. When elders chant the Ayali healing song, you glimpse English letters dancing like fireflies. One rainy afternoon, you hide under the porch clutching a forbidden treasure, a scrap of newsprint wrapped around a candlestick. As raindrops bleed the ink into Rorschach blots, you trace the smudged words with a fingertip. Light shines darkness. The Cherokee word for darkness, asterisk, unoli asterisk, rises in your throat, tasting of damp soil. Suddenly, English feels like tight leather shoes, Cherokee like bare feet on cool moss. You'll spend your life searching for the middle path, where comfort meets UOI peace, where deliverance holds hands with GGI, community work. The real trouble starts when you notice ghosts. In church, Jesus' robe shimmers with hidden patterns. Cherokee double curves woven into the hem. During stomp dances, the drumbeats morph into Gregorian chants. Your grandmother warns you gently. Words are living things. Some like to visit other worlds. She scrapes a walnut husk into dye, staining your palm the color of twilight. Remember this color when the words fight. Tonight, as you drift off, feel that walnut stain on your own palm. Smell the hickory smoke curling through pine trees. Listen to the creek behind your grandmother's cabin. It's singing Udali water in one ear, river in the other. Let the two streams carry you deeper. The creek song fades as wagon wheels creak toward your future. You're 12 now, clutching a burlap bundle. Your entire world squeezed between a wool blanket and a bar of lye soap. The destination? A stone building near New Akota that smells of iron and ambition. The Cherokee Phoenix Printing Press. You push open the heavy oak door and freeze. A machine taller than your father dominates the room, its brass fittings gleaming like dragon scales. But it's the smell that punches your senses, thick, inky bitterness cut through with sharp pine resin. Your nostrils flare. Back home, pine sap meant healing salves and torchlight. Here, it's boiled with turpentine to clean typeface. A white man with ink-stained cuffs gestures impatiently. Stop gawking, boy. Fetch the galley trays. You reach for a tray of lead letters, expecting cool metal. Instead, it's startlingly warm, as if the alphabet itself is alive. Your thumb brushes ITSA, its edges sharp as flint. Nearby, English letters lie jumbled in a box like wounded soldiers. Asterisk, A asterisk, a leg snapped, QS tail bent. When you accidentally drop Allah, it bounces with a sound like falling acorns. The foreman scowls. Those cost more than your hide. At noon, you escape to the yard where printers' air-drying pages have pinned Genesis to clotheslines. Wind flutters the sheets, making Jacob's ladder ripple. You press your nose to damp paper. Beneath the chemical reek, you catch whispers of hickory smoke from the vats where they boil rags into pulp. It smells like your grandmother's cabin after rain. Disaster strikes when you clean the press. You scrub too hard, splashing live water onto stacked paper. Blisters bloom on job 38. Asterisk, where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Asterisk, the words blur into gray scars. Panic, you rub pine resin over the stain. A Cherokee trick for mending pottery. Miraculously, the smudge hardens into something resembling marble veins. The foreman grunts, ugly but readable. That night, you dream of letters, growing bark and roots. By week's end, your hands tell the story. Knuckles nicked by type edges, fingertips stained indigo, palms sticky with resin. You wash in a creek, watching blue tendrils dissolve in water. Zvezdica, o dali zvezdica. You whisper. The river answers with a curl of current, carrying away flecks of Genesis. Asterisk, feel the ghost of warm lead against your thumb. Taste turpentine sharpness behind your teeth. Hear the rustle of Bible pages drying in wind, like ancestors murmuring just beyond reach. Asterisk. Indigo stains still linger under your nails when a letter arrives. Its wax seal stamped with an eagle's claw. The foreman taps the paper grimly. Government exam. Tomorrow. Sunrise finds you squeezed onto a wooden bench that groans under 20 nervous children. The examiner's boots click like beetle shells on the floorboards. He unrolls a scroll longer than your arm, clearing his throat as if preparing to sing opera. Question 1, he announces, spectacles perched like a nervous bird. Asterisk, translate into Latin. The farmer loves the fertile land. Asterisk. Your mind goes blank as sun-bleached cloth. Agricola ager. The words skitter away like pebbles underfoot. Outside the barred window, a blue jay lands on a hickory branch. Its feathers are the exact blue of elderberry ink. TSISDU, your grandmother's name for it, means laughs at gravity. You watch it tilt its head, sunlight glinting off its crest like a tiny crown. Focus. The examiner wraps his ruler near your knuckles. You flinch, smelling chalk dust and stale wool. Desperately, you scribble Terra land, but accidentally write Terra. The triple are like wagon ruts frozen on paper. The blue jay hops closer. It's called piercing the room. Asterisk J, J asterisk for a wild second. You imagine it's mocking the examiner's wig. A cloud of sheeps will glued with pine resin. Disaster strikes during dictation. The industrious ant gathers sustenance in summer. Drones the examiner. But sustenance sounds like sassafras to your ears. You sketch a tiny root beside the word, its fibrous tendrils wrapping around the margin. When papers are collected, the examiner pauses at your page. His finger stabs your drawing. This isn't a herbarium, boy. The worst comes at geometry. Calculate hypotenuse, he commands, pointing to a triangle. You stare at lines sharp as axe blades. Back home, elders measured fields by walking heel to toe, counting Cherokee. Asega 1, Tali 2, a memory surfaces. Your uncle bending a willow shoot into a circle to show how all points connect. Now you bend your too-sharp pencil, feeling the wood splinter. Snap. The lead flies like a tiny arrow, hitting the examiner's sleeve. Silence crushes the room. He plucks the pencil fragment from his coat, holding it up like evidence of a crime. Outside, the blue jay explodes into flight, a streak of blue vanishing into pines. You watch it go, tasting copper in your mouth. That night, washing your face in a creek, you find blue jay feathers caught in rivergrass. TSISDU, you whisper. The water carries your failed Latin verbs downstream. Asterisk, feel the splintered pencil in your palm. Hear that defiant asterisk J. J? Asterisk echoing in your skull. Smell chalk dust clinging to your clothes. The scent of answers that refuse to be caged. Asterisk. The creek carries away your shame, but the government's verdict arrives like winter frost. Insufficiently civilized. 3 weeks later, soldiers appear at sunrise, their bayonets catching light like icicles. You're given 20 minutes to pack your life into a flour sack, while soldiers lean on rifles, boots tapping the rhythm of impatience. Your mother moves like smoke, silent, purposeful. She folds your only wool coat around something heavy and round. For the long nights, she murmurs, pressing the bundle into your hands. Inside, wrapped in deerskin, lies her wedding necklace. 12 bare teeth strung on elk sinew, each tooth carved with tiny spirals. The symbol for ULBSVD pathway. Outside, wagons creak under iron pots and crying babies. A soldier kicks at your grandmother's herb garden, crushing uwaje mint under his heel. The sharp scent stings your eyes. You clutch the necklace, teeth biting into your palm like ancestral warnings. Remember this, your mother's eyes say as she tucks a small book into your coat pocket. A Cherokee syllabary primer stained with hickory ash. Bible, a soldier snorts, seeing the book's leather cover. Words, you correct softly. He shrugs, already turning toward the next cabin. In the chaos, you slip behind the empty corn crib, unwrapping one bare tooth. You press it against the primer's blank glass page. The carved spiral leaves a ghostly imprint in charcoal dust. This is how journeys begin, you think, not with maps, but with echoes. Suddenly a memory surfaces. Translating numbers 33 with the missionaries. Asterisk, these are the journeys of the Israelites. Asterisk, how sterile those words seemed. Now, watching soldiers inventory your neighbor's sacred masks as curios. You understand wilderness isn't geography. Wilderness is when your words become strangers. A shout cuts the air. Move out. Your mother pulls you close one last time. Her braid smells of wood smoke and crushed mint. When the teeth rattle, she whispers, listen for the bear's breath beneath the wagon noise. As you climb into the ox cart, the necklace settles against your chest, cold, heavy, alive. The lead ox lows, its breath frosting in the dawn. You open the primer. Beside A, E, I. You draw a tiny spiral in the margin. It looks like a frozen whirlpool, like a galaxy seen through tears. Asterisk, feel those carved teeth against your collarbone. 12 anchors in a storm. Taste crushed mint on the back of your tongue. Hear the rasp of charcoal on paper as you draw what can't be translated, asterisk. Ox cart wheels chew miles into mud. By day 4, your boots have become plaster casts of earth. At dusk, when soldiers shout halt, you collapse against a mossy rock and freeze. They are caught on your boots' cracked leather toe. A single dewdrop balances. Inside it, the twilight sky fractures. Violet clouds splintered by pine needles. One star pulsing like a drowned ember. You hold your breath. This is how the world ends, you think, not with thunder, but in a trembling sphere no bigger than a bear's tooth. Around you, exhaustion hangs thick as river fog. A woman retches into bushes. A child whimpers for water silenced by a mother's shushing. A sound like wind through barley. Soldiers pace, their boot steps crunching frozen grass into oblivion. But your universe has shrunk to this liquid lens. Lean closer. See how the star elongates when you tilt your foot? How the pine needles warp into green lightning. Ga no lvhi, your people's word for dew, means night's tears on grass. Tonight it holds galaxies. A shout shatters the moment. Move that crate, boy. A soldier kicks your boot. The dewdrop leaps. For one suspended second, it floats midair, refracting his snarling face into a fisheye grotesque, then splatters across your ankle. Cold seeps through wool. You stare at the wet stain. That star, that perfect microcosm of sky, is now just dampness on skin, a metaphor too obvious for words. Later, huddled under a threadbare blanket, you finger the bare teeth at your throat. Listen for the bear's breath. Your mother said. You press an ear to the frozen ground. Beneath wagon groans and coughs, beneath the thump-thump of your own heart, something rumbles. Not bear, not earth. It's a soldier's boot steps again, patrolling like a metronome of dread. You fumble for your syllabary primer. By moonlight, you trace asterisk, TLA asterisk, no, beside asterisk to asterisk, path. No path. Then your charcoal nub hovers. Slowly you draw a circle around the words. Not a prison, but a dewdrop. Inside it, you dot 7 specks. The star pattern from your boot. When breath fogs the page, the charcoal smudges. The stars bloom like tiny wounds. Asterisk, feel that phantom cold on your ankle where the sky dissolved. Taste iron on your tongue from biting back tears. Hear the soldier's boots etching time onto the frozen land. Each step erasing a dewdrop world asterisk. Oklahoma's red earth cakes your eyelashes by the time you reach the translation shed. It's just 4 log walls and a leaking roof. But inside waits your battleground. A scarred oak table holding an inkwell, quills, and the untranslated Gospel of Matthew. Rain drums the roof like impatient fingers. You're wrestling Greek grammar when plink. A fat, Droplet lands dead center in your inkwell. Indigo swirls, swallowing the rain. You sigh, dipping your quill. But the water-thinned ink bleeds through Matthew 1 verse 18 like a bruise. Asterisk nu gamma alpha sigma taro, chi omicron upsilon sigma alpha asterisk, with child. Blossoms into a Rorschach blot, resembling an owl. Zvezdica, plilt blink, zvezdica. More drops puncture the parchment. Holy becomes a puddle. Spirit dissolves into gray tendrils. You scramble to cover pages with your body. Elbows smudging Luke's genealogy into abstract art. Outside, thunder growls like a disgruntled deacon. Desperation births innovation. You slash turkey feathers into gutter spouts, wedging them between roof shingles. Rain obediently slides down the barbs, creating a liquid curtain around the shed. For 3 glorious minutes, it works, until a gust blows the feather stream sideways, baptizing your head in icy water. You gasp, shaking droplets off like a wet dog. One lands on the open lexicon, blurring logos word into Legos hair. You stare at the mistake. Maybe God is a rabbit today, you think, almost giggling. That's when you notice the real magic. On a rain-warped page, your earlier smudges have dried into landscapes. The owl blot now looks like a mountain under thunderheads. The dissolved Holy Spirit resembles mist rising from a valley. Your charcoal spirals from the syllabary primer float like storm crows over inky hills. You dip a fresh quill, not to correct, but to collaborate. With careful strokes, you extend the mountain slope into the margin. You add asterisk USD asterisk valley beneath the mist. A Cherokee world blooms in the Bible's gutters. Plink. Another drop falls, this time onto your drawing. The bleeds, its characters softening like creek clay in rain. You don't reach for a blotter. You watch the water rearrange the word into something new. Not valley, not spirit, but a hybrid glyph swimming between worlds. Thunder rumbles again, closer now, or is it the press of history? Outside your feather gutters, Oklahoma rain stitches the earth to the sky. Inside, you touch the damp page. The ink is cool, alive. Asterisk feel rainwater trickling down your neck. Heaven's accidental baptism. Smell petrichor rising from smudged parchment. Watch your quill hover, poised between destruction and creation asterisk. The ink-stained storms fade, replaced by a gnawing emptiness. Your stomach growls, louder than any Greek verb conjugation. Hunger, you discover, is its own language. Euster at Matthew pedetria, Makari omicron tochotaf pneumati. Bless the arida in spirit, as your own spirit feels decide the glipur. And how across the yard, the scent of baking cornbread wraps around the translation shed like a tantalizing ghost. Ga no hienv cornbread. Your tongue remembers before your brain does. The missionary's wife, Mrs. Latimer, appears at the door, holding a steaming wedge on a chipped blue plate. Sustenance for the scholar. She chirps, setting it down. Golden, crisp, alive. But as you reach, she taps the Greek lexicon meaningfully. First, the aorist tense of chi omega, to have. Your stomach clenches. Schon, schies, sick the Gerdsbler like heat phase. You pick up cornbread, still warm, still singing of hearts and harvest. Absently, you break off a corner. The texture, crusty shell, soft heart, reminds you of Cherokee verb structures. Root words wrapped in prefixes like corn kernels in husks. Snap. A piece falls onto the open lexicon, landing squarely on pyromicron sigma epsilon upsilon chi prayer. Crumbs speckle the definition. Mrs. Latimer gasps. Sacrilege. But you're staring at the fragment. Its edges are charred black. A perfect visual for the Greek verb sigma beta nu upsilon mu iota. To quench / extinguish. Look, you murmur, pointing to the charred edge. Zvenimi, like fire dying. You tap the golden center. Nalabo to sign forth. Mrs. Latimer blinks. That's unorthodox pedagogy. Desperation fuels inspiration. You tear another piece, deliberately over-toasting it over the candle. The blackened crust curls like a dead scroll. Delos and ubicler. The soft inside, read, beginning. You demonstrate imperfect tense by nibbling slowly at the edges. Action in progress. Aorist tense, A single decisive bite. Mrs. Latimer watches, torn between horror and fascination. When you compare the passive voice to cornmeal soaking up buttermilk, absorbing action without doing it, she stifles a laugh. Young man, you're turning scripture into supper. Language is bread, Mrs. Latimer. You say your mouth full. Both need fire to live. You smear honey on a fragment. Asterisk gamma lambda epsilon kappa asterisk sweet, and place it over gamma epsilon omega to rise. Like leaven. By dusk, you've translated 15 verses using nothing but crumbs and charcoal marks. The lexicon looks like a battlefield. Butter stains on gamma gamma epsilon lambda omicron angel. A honey drip sealing delta alpha theta kappa beta covenant. Mrs. Latimer surveys the damage. I'll bring 2 corn cakes tomorrow, she sighs. 1 for eating, 1 for exegesis. As she leaves, you lick honey from your thumb. JMB, you whisper to the empty shed. The word tastes of ash and gold, like the gospel itself. Outside, cicadas begin their evening chant. For once, their rhythm matches the pulse in your temples. Hunger, hope, hunger, hope, hunger, hope. Asterisk, feel the gritty cornmeal between your teeth. Sacrament and syntax fused. Smell honey melting into parchment, binding earth and heaven. Taste the charred edges of understanding, bitter and necessary asterisk. The honey-smeared lexicon glows in candlelight, but Mrs. Latimer's next delivery is grim. Ink ration suspended. Winter supply train delayed. She drops a burlap sack at your feet. Walnuts. You crack the first walnut with a stone. Asterisk, whack, asterisk. Its brain-like kernel mocking your predicament. Walnut ink. Missionaries used it for mending fences, not transcribing eternity. Outside, wind howls through chinks in the logs, stealing candle flames. Your breath frosts the air. Ga de quastravi. The Cherokee word for ink means blood of words. Tonight, your words will be born in ice. Method. 1, crush shells with a mortar stone until they resemble burnt stars. 2, boil fragments in harvested snow water, 3 hours, until liquid turns the color of a bruise. 3, add ash from the hearth. But whose? You hesitate. Oak ash feels too righteous for psalms. Hickory too smoky for proverbs. You choose maple. Neutral sweet burning. The first batch fails spectacularly. Boiling walnut sludge bubbles over, dousing the fire. Darkness swallows the shed, groping for flint. Your knuckles brush the bare-tooth necklace. 12 anchors. You strike steel. Asterisk, spark, asterisk. And glimpse the necklace's spirals glowing like trapped galaxies. When flame resurrects, you notice something. Walnut dye simmering in the iron pot isn't black. It's deep violet. Impossible. Mrs. Latimer gashes her thumb testing your quill next on. Royal purple from walnuts? She stares at the droplet staining Matthew 27 verse 28. Asterisk, Pyomicron rofa ralphanu asterisk, purple robe. Your violet ink bleeds into the Greek word like wine into water. Tyrian purple costs a fortune. How? You shrug, stirring the pot. Maple ash changes the soul of walnut, and sorrow changes the soul of words you don't add. The purple deepens as it cools, becoming the exact hue of twilight over Georgia mountains. A hue stolen from you. Tragedy strikes at midnight. Frost creeps under the door, seizing your ink pot. Ice crystals spear upward, fracturing the purple into 1,000 shards. Asterisco no. Asterisk, you cradle the pot like a dying bird. Desperate, you thrust it into embers. The ice screams as it melts, releasing a scent like burnt violets and forgotten forests. When you dip a raven feather, the ink flows thick, too thick. It clots on parchment, burying John 1 verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, under volcanic sludge. Frustrated, you hurl the feather. It sticks in a roof beam, quivering. Then, epiphany. You snatch the missionary's abandoned coffee tin, punch nail holes in its base, fill it with smoldering maple embers. Holding this makeshift censer over the frozen ink pot, you swing it gently. Smoke curls down, kissing the violet surface. The ink drinks the smoke. Next test, the quill glides. What flows onto Leviticus isn't purple, but smoky amethyst. Each letter dries with a faint shimmer, as if woven from dusk and wood smoke. Mrs. Latimer returns at dawn to find you asleep beside Proverbs 16 verse 24. Asterisk gracious words are honeycomb asterisk, rendered in iridescent charcoal violet. She touches a word. Her fingertip comes away smelling of cold mountains and endurance. Asterisk feel the walnut shell's jagged edge biting your palm. Taste wood smoke purple air at the back of your throat. Watch that raven feather tremble in the rafters. A black pendulum marking time between failure and grace asterisk. The amethyst ink dries to the color of a healing bruise, but a fiercer battle bruise on your work table, open before you. Revelation 22 verse 1. Asterisk delta megro zeta omega asterisk water of life. Your quill hovers like a hawk unsure where to strike. Asterisk TSAL Vika asterisk. You murmur. Cherokee for clear flowing stream. Simple. True. Like the creek behind your childhood home where tadpoles wrote vanishing scriptures in the shallows. But the missionary Reverend Hale slams his fist, rattling the inkwell. Blasphemy. It must be Yuan Bihai, Ujian Bitli, God's tears. Majesty demands majesty. For 3 weeks, the shed becomes a linguistic war zone. Hale paces, quoting Augustine. You sit statue still, remembering. TSAL Vika. The sound of pebbles tumbling in current. UGA Bitli. Tears the salt taste when grandmother wept for your exiled uncle. Hale scribbles his version on the blackboard. Letters fat and demanding as bullfrogs. You respond by dipping a turkey feather in creek water, writing TSAL Vika on sun-warmed stone outside. The water evaporates in minutes. See, Hale pounces. Ephemeral, God's truth is eternal. You wait. Evening dew condenses on the stone, where water writing vanished. Droplets now trace the ghost of each Cherokee character, glittering like shattered constellations. The stream returns, you say softly. Day 17 brings a tactical error. Exhausted, you leave draft pages exposed. Rain sneaks through the roof. Not the drenching fury of earlier storms, but a sly drizzle. By dawn, Hale's God's tears has bled into a Rorschach puddle, resembling a weeping bear. Your asterisk Kalvika asterisk fared better. The tighter syllabary characters held their ground like river stones against flood. That's it. Hale stabs at the smudged bear shape. Providence, or poor roofing, you mutter. Compromise comes from an unexpected ally. Mrs. Latimer. She sets down 2 teacups, steam curling like question marks. Reverend, what's the function of this water? Hale blinks. To give life, naturally. She turns to you. And your stream? To move, you say, and carry life. Mrs. Latimer stirs honey into her tea. So it's a verb and a noun. Silence. Outside, wind rustles cottonwood leaves. Asterisk shakui asterisk. Sounds like pouring water. You watch a honey strand spiral down her spoon. Verb and noun. Movement and essence. That night you experiment. Dipping your bare tooth necklace in ink. You press one tooth onto parchment. The carved spiral leaves a perfect. Around it, you write clockwise, following the curve. Inside the circle, God's tears in smaller characters. The words orbit each other, held in tension by the spiral. A liquid galaxy. Hale studies it at dawn. For a long moment, he says nothing. Then gruffly, the Greek delta megaro is just water. He touches the page. The purple ink, mixed with walnuts, earthiness, and maple smoke, smells like a forest after rain. Your version smells holier, he admits. As he leaves, you notice his thumb brush the wet ink. A violet smudge stains the skin, a temporary tattoo of truce. Outside, the real TSAL Vika gurgles over red rocks. You dip your hand in, watching Oklahoma silt swirl around your fingers like dissolving scripture. Asterisk feel the cool weight of the bare tooth against inky parchment. Taste honeyed tea and unresolved tension. Watch those 2 words stream in tears, dance their fragile waltz inside the spiral. Asterisk. Violet ink dries to a dusk-like sheen on Revelation's compromise. But your eyes rebel. After 12 hours, squinting at Greek minuscules and Cherokee syllabics, letters swim like tadpoles in a murky pond. Blinking doesn't help. Only closing your eyes brings relief. And an idea, moonlight bleeds through the shed's single window, silvering the stacked galley trays. You run a fingertip over freshly cast type for Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength. The lead characters are cool, slightly raised, like braille written by ghosts. Close your eyes, instinct whispers. Darkness amplifies sensation. The period dot symbol is a perfect stubborn dome. Asterisk U asterisk feels like twin hills with a valley between. Asterisk and V asterisk is a lightning bolt frozen mid-strike. Your finger glides. Suddenly, a hitch. A asterisk D asterisk, where asterisk TI asterisk should be. Your eyes would have skimmed over it. Both symbols resemble tiny rooftops. But under touch, S right angle is sharper, S slope gentler, like distinguishing acorn caps by their ridges. You mark the error with a pine needle pressed into the composing stick. By midnight, your fingers have become pale, sightless creatures navigating a landscape of frozen words. They find 3 misplaced English commas like pebbles among seeds, a backwards Greek sigma feeling like a broken whirlpool. And most damning, not omitted from asterisk, thou shalt not steal. Asterisk, Mrs. Latimer finds you at dawn, forehead pressed to the cool type tray. Asleep. Good heavens. Proofreading in the dark. Moonlight. You mumble into the lead. It doesn't lie. She scoffs, lighting the oil lamp. Its jaundiced glow instantly flattens the textured world your fingers knew. Eyes are God's gift for reading. Eyes get tired, you counter, picking up a stray, asterisk, A asterisk. Its smooth curve fits your thumb pad like a riverstone. Fingers remember. To prove it, you lead her outside. Dew glazes the grass. Eyes closed, you walk her toward the cottonwood. Your bare feet map the terrain. Soft moss equals asterisk E asterisk. Knotted root equals asterisk TSA asterisk. Patch of gravel equals Greek rough breathing mark. She gasps when you stop precisely where its shadow falls. Sorcery. No, you touch the bark. Grooves spiral upward. Asterisk who asterisk. The symbol for climbing. The ground speaks in glyphs. That night she tries it. You hear her yelp from a shed. Rushing in, you find her sucking her thumb. The period stabbed me, she accuses, glaring at the tiny lead dome. It's aggressive. You laugh. It's a full stop. It should bite. Later, sharing cold cornbread under moonlight, she admits, my eyes missed 7 errors yesterday. My thumb found 2 before breakfast. She flexes her hand, studying its moonlit lines. Do you think fingers dream? Asterisk, feel the cool kiss of lead type on your skin. Truth etched in metal. Hear the click of a misplaced comma caught under your nail. Smell the faint ozone on night air. Like static from colliding languages, asterisk. Moonlight proves an honest proofreader. But daylight reveals a different truth. Margins. Those blank edges framing scripture are the geography of your secrets. Reverend Hale insists footnotes are for scholarly rigor. You repurpose them as burial grounds for endangered knowledge. To jest victim. Звездица, uceta nie звездица, pal, cornflower. Grandmother mashed its roots for fever, but the missionary's ledger calls it asterisk echinacea angustifolia. Savage placebo stark. Your charcoal nub hovers over 2 Kings 20 verse 7. Asterisk, take a lump of figs, asterisk. In the inch-wide white border below you begin. 1. A curved stroke, the flower's drooping petal. 2. A dot cluster, its spiky central cone. 3. Tiny asterisk, UTS tiny asterisk. Hidden in the illustration's shadow veins. Hale patrols like a hungry hawk. When his boots approach, you camouflage the drawing with CF Pliny, Net History 25:76, a real reference. But Pliny never met UTS Van I. The charcoal dust on your fingertips feels like ancestral pollen. Disaster strikes during tea break. A gust slams the shed door, scattering your pages. Hale stoops to gather them and freezes. His thumb covers your coneflower footnote on Isaiah 38 verse 21. Asterisk. Apply a fig poultice asterisk. What is this? Comparative botany, you improvise, heart hammering. Figs healing properties versus local flora. He squints. Looks like a weed. You open Dioscorides de Materia Medica to a dog-eared page showing Greek hellebore. Similar morphology, Reverend. His eyes glaze over at the dense Latin. Humph. Keep footnotes textual. But the narrow escape births rebellion. That night, you grind blue elderberries into ink, using a single bristle brush plucked from the missions broom. You paint invisible layers. Around Psalm 104, verse 14, asterisk, herbs for the service of man, asterisk, wind dancing, asterisk, sokas, asterisk, yarrow, an ultramarine so faint it only appears in candlelight. Beside numbers 11:5, asterisk, cucumbers, melons, asterisk, asterisk, UTS, esqua, asterisk, wild onion, roots coiling like green serpents. Your masterpiece blooms on Song of Solomon 4, verse 14, asterisk, nard, and saffron, asterisk. In the margin, asterisk, NVA, asterisk, mountain mint, unfurls. But you add a final touch, a single bare claw mark near the Hebrew word honey, a signature only your people would recognize. When Hale proofreads next morning, winter sun slants across the page. Ahad, he murmurs, rubbing Solomon's margin. This paper feels textured. Your pulse spikes. But he only sees the watermark. Your mountain mint remains hidden, waiting for Cherokee eyes. Later, you catch Mrs. Latimer studying the Song of Solomon page under a magnifier. Is that? She whispers, tracing the bear claw's ghostly arc. You hold your breath. She looks up, eyes bright. A printing flaw. We must demand better paper stock. Relief tastes like stolen honey. That night, you press a dried coneflower into your lexicon. Crushed between Phi Alpha Kappa Omicron new drug and Alpha Sigma Iota healing. It bleeds violet onto the definitions. A living footnote. Asterisk, feel the elderberry's cool blue stain seeping into your cuticle. A clandestine baptism. Smell the ghost of mountain mint rising from silent margins. Watch that single bristle brush write history's too fragile for daylight, asterisk. The clandestine flowers bloom only in moonlight, but daylight belongs to the beast. A cast iron printing press squatting in the corner like a sleeping bear. Today it wakes hungry. You feed it Genesis 1 verse 1, asterisk, asterisk, in the beginning God. The crank groans, gears gnash, then asterisk crunch star. The machine seizes mid-sentence, jaws clamping down on vellum. Paper screams like tearing flesh. Stand clear. Reverend Hale lunges, wrenching the release lever. Nothing. The press exhales a sigh of hot oil and frustration. Hale pounds its flank like an angry vet. Stubborn mule. You peer into the mechanism's throat. There, wedged between roller and platen, Genesis puckers like a failed kiss. Verse 5, asterisk, asterisk, and there was evening and there was morning, is crimped into an accordion of oblivion. Hale jabs a screwdriver. Fetch the tallow grease. But you remember grandmother's remedy for stuck grinding stones. Walnut oil and patience. As Hale wrestles metal, you drip golden oil onto the gears. It sizzles where it touches hot iron, releasing a scent like baking bread and forest floors. The press shudders. Glork. A sound deeper than gears, like a bear swallowing honeycomb. Hale freezes. Did it? Gulp. You say nothing, oiling the next joint. On the 37th attempt, the beast relents. It surrenders the crumpled Genesis page, now tattooed with dark streaks where ink bled into creases. Hale smooths it flat, cursing. Ruined. But you see something else. The crimped lines form perfect valleys and ridges. Asterisk ONI asterisk mountain. And asterisk USD asterisk valley. Emerging from the damage. The ink blots? Hviezdichka tsunatana eviezdicka. Stars. Scattered across a miniature cosmos. Providence provides, you murmur, pressing your palm over the mountain valley. The paper is still warm from the machine's belly. Hale isn't listening. He's refilling the ink reservoir, muttering about demonic mechanics. That's what happens. A low, resonant brew-up vibrates through the floorboards. The oil can trembles in your hand. Hollywood's earthquake. You hide a smile. You know that sound. The same one your uncle made after swallowing persimmon seeds. The press has burped. From then on, you negotiate with the machine. Before each print run, whisper asterisk, dilies dudi asterisk. Be gentle into its inkwell. Offer walnut oil like ritual libation. Skip Psalms 137, too vengeful for its digestion. The beast rewards you. One twilight, as you proofread Leviticus, it sighs. A soft puff of steam from its piston joints. The expelled air stirs your hair, smelling of molten lead and forgiveness. Mrs. Latimer witnesses the ritual. You treat it like a pet. It has moods. You shrug, polishing a gear with beeswax. Yesterday, it hated Jeremiah. She tests your theory, skipping your oil ceremony. She feeds it Corinthians 13. Love is patient. Love is kind. The press responds by mangling kind into a Rorschach blot, resembling a snarling dog. Hail blames damp paper. But you slip extra walnut oil into the gears that night. Asterisk, feel the warm breath of steam on your neck. Machine absolution. Smell the walnut oil turning sacred in hot iron. Taste the ghost of that glork in your own throat. A hymn of mechanics and mercy asterisk. The press's mechanical sighs become part of your daily liturgy. But humans remain gloriously error-prone, especially when exhaustion turns your hands into traitors. You're bundling pages for delivery. 20 copies of Cherokee Agricultural Almanac 1845 for the Tribal Council. Practical stuff, crop rotation diagrams shaped like asterisk J. Dooley asterisk / corn kernels. Moon phase charts annotated with asterisk Espinoi asterisk / planting times. But last night's final proofing bled into dawn, and now your vision swims. Grabbing what you think is the almanac stack, you tie it with hickory bark twine. 3 days later, Chief White Pat's daughter appears at the shed, clutching a page. Her cheeks are the pink of wild crab apples. Did you mean to include this? You freeze. There, between soil acidity remediation and composting techniques. Glow's Song of Solomon 2:10-13 in your amethyst ink. My beloved spoke and said to me, "Arise, my darling, my beautiful one. Come with me." The delicate syllabics curl like vine tendrils around an illustration you'd forgotten. A margin doodle of asterisk UNB Duda asterisk / passion flower, twining through Hebrew letters. Reverend Hale peers over your shoulder. Gracious, that's scripture. He snatches the page as if rescuing from mud, but the girl Ayoka doesn't release her end. The parchment tears cleanly down Solomon's poetic middle. Asterisk, the winter is past. The rains are over and gone. Asterisk, severed from flowers appear on the earth. Silence. Then Ayoka does something astonishing. She tucks her torn half. The flowers appear fragment into her beadwork pouch. My fiancé farms, she says, eyes steady. He struggles with soil acidity. Her lips quirk. This felt like divine crop advice. The torn page haunts you. That night, sorting type, you find a single lead, asterisk TSA asterisk, clinging to your sleeve. It means seed. You press it into candle wax, embedding it over the tear line on Hale's fragment. The seed bead gleams like a tiny obsidian eye between the wounded verses. News trickles back weeks later. Ayoka's fiancé, confused but charmed by the love poem amid composting tips, planted passion flowers around his cornfield to sweeten the soil. The vines thrived. At their wedding, Ayoka wears blossoms in her hair. She presses a dried flower into your palm during the feast. Your agricultural report saved our marriage, she whispers. He thought I was the anonymous poet. Reverend Halefumis, sacred text reduced to flotation. Mrs. Latimer stirs honey into her tea, smiling. Solomon would approve. You examine the passion flower later. Its radial filaments like a starburst. Its central stamens a miniature ladder to heaven. In your glossary you pencil asterisk. Vine with 10 petals commandments, 5 stamens grace, 3 stigmas trinity. Grows where love and compost meet. Asterisk. The torn page stays pinned above your desk. Sunlight through the shed window fades the ink, but gilds the wax sealed. Asterisk TSA asterisk / seed at its heart. Sometimes when the press clatters, you swear it whispers. Arise, my darling. Asterisk, feel the waxy seed bead warming under your thumb. A scripture grafted onto hope. Smell passion flowers blooming where scripture met compost. Taste the ghost of Ayoka's laughter. Sweet as stolen honey. Asterisk. The petals from Ayoka's wedding are still hidden in your cuffs, and Oklahoma has turned sour. A cold front strikes at dawn, and frost covers the cracks in the translation booth like salt. The white breath you exhale has not yet touched the ink bottle. The ink freezes in the morning. You hear that crisp sound, ding. You rush to the table. The smoky purple ink that flowed last night is now frozen into a planetary specimen in the glass bottle. Ice crystals burst out from the center like a spider web, trapping the ink of the Gospel of John in an icy coffin. Asterisk, the word became flesh and dwelt among us. Asterisk. asterisk lambda gamma omicron sigma rosei gamma nu epsilon tau omicron asterisk, solidified into the shape of a crown of thorns. God, Pastor Hell grabs the bottle and presses it against the stove. No, you stop him. The heat will cause it to explode. You remember your grandfather's method for preserving wild berries from a glacier, using body heat to thaw them. So you tuck the ink bottle into the lining of your bear tooth necklace, pressing it tightly against your chest. The edges of the ice crystals pricked your skin, like 12 little bears gnawing at it. Waiting was an ordeal. Every quarter of an hour, you took out the bottle to observe it. The ice net slowly melted, seeping purple tears. The frozen word flesh asterisk sigma rosei asterisk was the first to loosen, sliding down the bottle wall like tadpole tracks. At noon, the ice core finally cracks with a pop. The ink comes to life, but at a heavy cost. The melting ice dilutes the color, turning the smoky purple into a sickly lavender gray. Worse still, several shards of glass burst out as the ice cracks, floating in the holy water like Satan's seeds. Pastor Black grabbed a quill pen to filter it. Waste, you shook your head and brought a piece of raw cowhide stretched over a wooden frame. It was a drumhead tanned by the Cherokee, covered with diamond-shaped patterns called Ulieskadi. Pour the ink slowly onto the membrane. The broken glass is caught in the grid, and the ink filters into the clay bowl, even more concentrated than before. The distillation of the ice has extracted the soul of the walnut, but the miracle is at the bottom of the bottle. The last bit of ice that is poured out contains a miniature star map. The main crack is the Milky Way. The ice crystals branch out into the handle of the Big Dipper. The bubbles froze into the Pleiades. You used a small knife to pry off this piece of ice constellation and placed it on the cover of Revelation. The sunlight penetrated the ice fragment, casting flickering spots of light on the passage about New Jerusalem, as if heaven were breathing on the pages of the book. Pagan trickery. Pastor Heller swats away the ice shard. It shatters on the ground with a tinkling sound. That night, you dream of ink freezing in your veins. Ice patterns climbed your ribs like Cherokee star trails. When you awoke, moonlight illuminated the empty ink bottle on the table. The ice marks on the bottle wall formed asterisk Hawaii asterisk, meaning star marks. You dipped your finger in clear water and traced a crack, droplets rolling along the path like stars across the night sky. In the morning, Pastor Hell discovered that you had added a new ingredient to the filtered ink: ground blue frozen earth. The lavender ash transformed into a deep cosmic indigo. This color, he hesitated, running his fingers over the test print of Genesis, is like grinding the night sky into powder. You smile without a word. The ice shards you collected last night are melting in the clay jar, with the reflection of the star map on the bottle bottom floating on the water surface. You hide it in a secret compartment in the floor, labeling it / the ice cracks of God. Asterisk, the ice core in my heart pulsed with each beat. 12 little bears hibernating. I heard the shattered ice in the clay jar tinkling as it thawed, playing a melted version of the Genesis story. I watched the star-shaped marks on the bottle wall suck in moonlight, growing into new ice thorns before dawn. Asterisk. Indigo ink dried up between the pages of Genesis, but the hand holding the pen began to protest. The calluses rubbed by turkey feathers bloomed like asterisk USDH asterisk / water bubbles on the knuckles of the index finger, and each stroke felt like sandpaper rubbing against the book of Revelation. The evolution of the quill pen. You spread 28 failed quills on the oak table, like a display of torture instruments. 1 turkey feathers, asterisk guna asterisk / turkey. Tail feathers are as beautiful as the evening sky, but the pen tip splits into a greedy snake's tongue, turning Matthew's gospel into a swamp. 2 falcon feathers. The primary flight feathers of the wahali / eagle are as hard as spears, scraping the paper with alias VSGI / screen. Turning the meek shall inherit the earth into a satire. 3 peacock eye feathers. The iridescent spots on the feather shafts are too brittle. After 3 minutes in ink, they explode, splattering blue ink across the Leviticus commandments and blooming into sinful peacock eyes. Use a steel-tipped pen. Pastor Black handed over the gleaming metal monster, a tool of civilization. Try writing a line of Greek, gamma paedo love. was carved into the grooves of the tombstone, the paper fibers curling like wounds. The texture reminded you of the frozen earth of the blood-tear path. Too sharp a tool, was unsuitable for writing redemption. The turning point came on a snowstorm night. A raven asterisk TSS delete asterisk slash raven flew into the translation hut for warmth, its left wing broken at an unnatural angle. As you bandaged it, it plucked 3 secondary flight feathers as a token of gratitude. The feather roots still retained body heat, and ice crystals had formed inside the tubules. The experiment began. Use a flint knife to scrape away the ventral surface of the quill, exposing the spongy medullary cavity. Ink flow test. The raven's feather sucks ink like asterisk USD asterisk slash dream kissing stone. Slit the pen tip. Tilt the blade at a 45-degree angle and cut an ink channel finer than a spider's thread. As you made the final cut, the candle flame flickered. Your hand trembled and the cut became asterisk TLA asterisk slash negation symbol. It's ruined, but ink flows endlessly into the crack, writing I shall not want in silk like script in Psalm 23. The crooked nib instead resembles asterisk NIHV asterisk slash embracing arms, cradling the flowing ink. Pastor Hell sneered. A barbarian's crooked stroke hits the mark, until he tried it himself. The raven's feather glided over the parchment with a rustling sound, like spring snow melting on pine needles. The amen he was accustomed to writing had a wavy tail for the first time. The secret lay under a microscope. A toy lens donated by Mrs. Latimer, the inner side of the raven feather was covered with spiral patterns, like miniature engravings of asterisk da du high asterisk slash corncob. These grooves locked in the ink and released it, like the pauses in Cherokee breathing. The price is the collection process. To gather all 28 raven's secondary flight feathers, you become a streamside lurker, 2 feathers earned with frozen toes, a cliff nest raider, feathers sticky with eggshell mucus, a funeral feather thief, tail feathers with dew hanging from grave branches. Mrs. Latimer catches you sliding down from a crow's nest, your trousers torn. I thought you were translating job. This is it. You show her the mud on the quill. Job's dust and resilience. That night, 20 sharpened pens stood in a clay jar, like a field of black crops. In the moonlight, their shadows wove asterisk AYV asterisk slash cloud of feathers across the pages of the book of Revelation. You drew one out to write, and the friction between the nib and the paper finally turned into asterisk you would do high asterisk slash lullaby. Asterisk feel the raven's feathers tremble between your fingers, like the heartbeat of a living bird. Watch the crooked pen tip bloom into a gentle ink stain on the word hallelujah. Inhale the scent of ice and blood from the depths of the quill. The sacred mark of sacrifice and transformation, asterisk. The soft touch of feathers saved your fingers, but your eyes were sore from staring at the candlelight. When the Greek letter asterisk rho asterisk and the Cherokee letter asterisk quo asterisk began to dance across your retinas, you knew it was time to let your eyes rest. You blew out the candle. Darkness spread like warm bear fat, asterisk udiclili asterisk, over your eyelids. Your fingertips found the freshly printed proof of Proverbs, the paper still slightly raised from the lead type. Read it to me, you said to Noah, the apprentice dozing in the corner. Which part? His voice is heavy with sleep. Any part, but in Cherokee. He cleared his throat and stammered out chapter 16. Asterisk, the heart plans its own course, asterisk. You closed your eyes and leaned against the wall. That a miracle happened. Noah pronounced asterisk duha asterisk slash road as asterisk dula asterisk slash moon, and it sounded like needles piercing his ears. He skipped the pause before asterisk udnvidu asterisk slash plan, and the sentence became a tangled knot. When the U in asterisk only the Lord guides his steps asterisk was swallowed, you heard the lead type trembling anxiously on the wooden board. Stop, you press down on the proof. There's a breath missing here. Noah holds up the candle to check. Sure enough, the typesetter has mistakenly pasted the Cherokee glottal stop symbol, asterisk H asterisk, as decorative flourishes, asterisk USDI asterisk slash whirlpool pattern. The eyes overlook it, but the ears catch the suffocation in the sentence. Mrs. Latimer joins the experiment. Let me read the Psalms in English. Her queenly accent made asterisk the Lord is my shepherd asterisk sound like Asterisk, the cord is my leopard starred. You laughed so hard you choked. God is a leopard's rope. Upon inspection, they found that the printing press had smudged the SH ink into the tail of the sea. The ultimate test was on Ada, the deaf child. You pressed his hand on the typesetting tray and motioned for him to listen. Correct sentence. The lead type flows smoothly like river stones. Missing letters. Indentations like broken teeth. Reversed word order. Protrusions like angry frog eggs. Ada suddenly pulled his hand back and drew asterisk TLA asterisk slash no in the dust. He had felt the words asterisk, how can I not cherish it? Asterisk. From the book of Jonah misprinted as asterisk, I do not cherish it asterisk. A single space made compassion turn to cruelty. Pastor Hale stumbled upon this scene of witchcraft. Blasphemy. Proofreading requires eyes and prayer. You handed him Leviticus 19. Please read the passage about just judgment. He intoned, asterisk, you shall do no injustice, asterisk perfect. Until asterisk, nor shall you be partial to the poor asterisk. When his tongue slipped and he read, asterisk parrot starred. In the silence, Ada's hand suddenly slapped the table. Asterisk snap, 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 asterisk. Everyone looked down. The word partial the pastor had just read was printed as asterisk par tile asterisk on the lead plate. The split word caused the pronunciation to break. That night, the translation booth became a sound laboratory. Noah recited the law with an asterisk, Jili-si asterisk slash cough tone. Mrs. Latimer hummed hymns while proofreading the numbers. Ada's palm mapped out the terrain of truth on the typesetting tray. You discover that the most accurate proofreading happens at midnight. When the owl called out asterisk, you connect asterisk slash for echoes in the juniper grove. The vibrations of the lead type resonated with its frequency. Mistakes in the text emitted faint noises in the darkness, like mice gnawing on the wooden supports of the 10 Commandments in a barn. Asterisk, feel Noah's breath brush past your earlobe. A warm storm warning. Watch Ada's fingers traverse the lead canyons like a blind prophet. Taste laughter mingled with ink suspended in the darkness, like forgotten communion wafers, asterisk. Whisper proofreading as tame typos. But a new storm is brewing in the punctuation. At this moment, you are facing off against Pastor Hale across the table, with a culprit lying between you. A little ink tadpole, comma. The eternal comma war. Controversial sentence. Acts 27, verse 44. Greek original. Kyria omikron mini pisanisin, omikron delta pi tinon tafni pitopliu. Asterisk, some are lying on planks, others on pieces of the ship's hull asterisk. Your Cherokee translation. Pastor Heller's red ink spattered like blood. Asterisk, blasphemy. The comma breaks up God's act of salvation. It must be deleted. Asterisk. You press down on proof. Breathe. The one lying on the board can only surface when the one lying on the fragments takes a breath. Cold War rules. 1. He deletes the comma while you're getting water, and you add it back with a raven's feather while proofreading. 2. He draws a cross where he deleted the comma, and you draw a bear paw print where you added it back. 3. When Mrs. Latimer brings tea, the teacup always lands precisely on the battlefield. The stalemate is broken in the 7th week. On a stormy night, the translation hut leaks, soaking the proof of the Acts of the Apostles. In the morning light, you rush to rescue the wet paper. Look, Pastor Hale exclaims, at the spot where the controversial comma had been. The ink bled and expanded into a moon of black. Even more amazing was that the edges of the ink moon absorbed the paper fibers, forming a fuzzy halo. The original sharp hook of the Greek comma was dissolved by the water into a rounded asterisk adola asterisk slash coin shape. The final syllable symbol of the Cherokee word asterisk unbdui asterisk slash on top of extended into fine threads and connected to the ink moon. Like jellyfish tentacles, Mrs. Latimer said, gently lifting the fibers with tweezers, stringing the drown together. Pastor Hale was silent. He took out a magnifying glass, usually used to check for flaws in the strokes of a character god, and focused it on the center of the ink moon. A miracle appeared under the lens. Hundreds of walnut dye particles suspended in water, each wrapped in a miniature rainbow. When light passed through, it cast a 7-colored halo on the paper, perfectly encircling the disputed phrase, asterisk, unastily, asterisk, slash save. This comma, the pastor's voice was dry, is glowing. It's tears, you correct. The tears of shipwrecked sailors refracting the light. That afternoon, Pastor Hale did 3 things. 1. Returned the red ink bottle, half full. 2. Drew a new comma next to the ink moon, a hybrid of the Greek wave comma and the Cherokee-da. 3. Left the magnifying glass on your desk with a frame wrapped in grapevines. The price of reconciliation was hidden in the footnote of Philippians. When you notice a new comma, you accidentally split sigma upsilon gamma kappa omicron iota and omega nu companion into sigma upsilon nu together plus kappa omicron iota and omega nu share, creating a non-existent theological term. You didn't expose it, just drew a raven holding a grape on the page margin. Asterisk dileosite asterisk slash secret guardian. Late at night, the rain came again. Water droplets hit the hybrid comma once more. As the ink spread, you heard a faint harmony, the chant of Greek sailors rowing their boats, the bells of the Cherokee River Festival, blending into a new requiem. Asterisk, the copper frame of the magnifying glass feels hot in the palm of your hand. Tamed obsession. Watch the ink moon's rainbow light drift across the ceiling like a drowning man's dream. Taste the unsaid light, sweet as forgiven grapes, asterisk. The muggy heat of the rainy season incubated in the lead type. One morning, you discovered that the proof of Exodus had sprouted fluff, not metaphorically. Green mold spots bloom on the word, asterisk, so must be asterisk, slash the land of slavery. And mycelium penetrates the parchment, staining, asterisk, Anawaya asterisk, slash Egyptians, with mossy swamps. Worse still, when you lean in to take a closer look, the mold spots suddenly tremble, extending needlepoint stalks that support miniature umbrella caps. It's alive, you exclaim, recoiling. Pastor Hale snorts, fatigue hallucinations. But at midnight, while proofreading, the entire Exodus comes to life. The waves parting the Red Sea, Exodus 14, verse 21, become a forest of mushrooms, asterisk, highlight, asterisk, slash red fungal stalks. Manna, Exodus 16, verse 31, rolls into spore powder, exploding into a golden mist in the candlelight. Most terrifying, the frogs of the 10th plague, Exodus 8, verse 3, leap into flesh-covered mushrooms, their caps opening and closing with a tsisqua sound like frog croaks. You shake your head and close your eyes. When you open them again, the mushrooms are still there. They even spread into reality. Rolls of paper piled in the corner sprout honey mushrooms, and ghost pen caps emerge from the floor cracks, emitting a sweet, rotten flesh scent. When Pastor Hell enters the room, you are gently poking a cluster of snakehead mushrooms emerging from the passage about Moses' staff, Exodus 4, verse 2, with a raven's feather. My God, are you taking magic mushrooms? He snatches the proof. The pages are sticky like shed snakeskin. The mushroom caps swell on the ink, shaking off glittering spores. The pastor is horrified to discover that the lace trim on his cuff is being devoured by mycelium, real cotton thread-like consumption. The antidote was in the bear's tooth necklace. You picked out the dried leaves of asterisk USD UNVDU asterisk slash dreamside mint. Your grandmother had hidden, chewed them into a paste, and applied it to your eyes. A cool sensation pierced the hallucinations. The mushroom forest retracts its mold spots. Frog-calling umbrella caps collapse into ink stains. Only manna spores stubbornly cling to your fingertips. The printer's curse. The priest burns the moldy pages. But you collect the ashes and mix them into fresh ink that a miracle occurs. When the ink mixed with fungal remains, writes Exodus 16, verse 14, the word asterisk, STV asterisk slash dew, appears as fine golden dots in the morning light, as if the dew of the wilderness had truly crystallized between the lines. The hallucinatory event left after effects. Now when proofreading, periods occasionally swell into fungal umbrellas. Spaces seep with the scent of humus. You hear asterisk USD asterisk slash the sound of flowing water, seeping out of the desert passages of numbers. Mrs. Latimer found a scientific explanation. Lead poisoning plus mold toxins. We need to ventilate. She tore down half the wall and replaced it with louvered windows. But you know the truth. When a language is pushed to the brink, it grows roots of self-salvation from the cracks. The evidence is in Leviticus 11, the chapter on abstaining from unclean creatures. You accidentally spill fresh ink, and the purple gold liquid submerges the word ******/frog. When the ink dried, the area around the word felt like a riverbed covered with pebbles. The fungus permanently sealed under the sacred declaration of unclean. That night, you dreamed of Moses' staff. It was not inserted into the Red Sea, but into the Cherokee **Elohi**/earth. At the base of the staff, lead type sprouted and grew into a giant tree covered with ***/mushrooms and ***/scripture. Among the treetops, ravens built nests with their feathers, and their cries became typesetting commands. ***, I feel mycelium gently scratching my veins. Another form of life for words. I see gold powder falling from the word manna onto my sleeve like a tamed miracle. I smell the scent of rotten soil wafting through the slats of the shutters. The ancient truth that has not been cultivated by the gospel, ***. The phantom of mold spots still lingered in the corners of his eyes, and the messenger's hooves broke through the morning mist. The old chieftain, **U.S. Gully */owl, breathed like a leaky bellows, his withered hands clutching your collar. Write down. Those words, don't let them rot in my grave. His wooden hut was filled with the scent of ***/sweet smell of death, the smell of fermented wild honey and rotting fur. You spread out birch bark, and the raven's feathers are dipped not in ink, but in maple syrup mixed with charcoal ash. The sweetness can deceive the ears of death, whispers the witch doctor. The chief's words are like endangered birds, fluttering and landing on the bark. 1. **U.S. quality **, the whistle of the wind through hollow bones before dawn, now called barometric pressure by white people. 2. **Sui tsi duda, **, the ripples and cracks caused by elk antlers touching the frozen river surface. 3. **Unatin byi, **, the taste left by the dead on the tongues of the living, like copper coins and wild berries. 4. *USDNVDU, *, the shape of the last drop of water before a stream freezes. When the 19th word was recorded, the chief's pupils dilated into *AYVV*/foggy moon, that he uttered the ultimate word. *UNIDUDI*, / the blue light splashed up when stardust fell into a fire. The sparks that carry the soul across the river in Cherokee funerals. The pen tip froze. Maple syrup ink dripped onto the bark, forming amber tears. The chief's throat rolled with unspoken syllables like *AGTSI*/lightning, trapped in a thundercloud. You leaned down and pressed your ear to his lips, but all you heard was a red-throated hummingbird, *slash the hoverer, crashes through the window paper. Its beak dripping with melted snow, that IT hovered above the chief's nose for 3 seconds. Its tail feathers shedding fragments of rainbow, then shot toward the sun like an arrow. That was his soul's *slash the sound of the sky exploding. When the funeral pyre was lit, you committed sacrilege. You threw the birch bark covered with words into the flames. You're mad. Pastor Hell rushed to save it, but it was too late. The bark curled into black wings, and the words appeared in the flames, turned into a whistle of blue smoke, split into a golden net, burst into cobalt blue sparks, shooting straight into the Milky Way. After the ashes cool, you kneel and sift through them. At the location of the remnants of a stream, charcoal miraculously retains the indentations of water droplets. You drip resin into them, crafting 30-word beads strung into a bear-tooth necklace. When they collide, they emit the sound of pine needles falling like snow, closer to heaven than any sacred hymn. As you proofread Revelation 21 verse 4, there will be no more death, the necklace suddenly scatters. The word beads roll over the ink-stained *, crying, absorbing the ink. 30 circular blank spaces remain on the paper, like wells leading to the stars. You did not fill them in with the tip of a raven's feather dipped in water. You drew in the blanks. Bone flew holes, ice crack patterns, hummingbird dive, parabolas. When the water dried, the wells reflected the blue light of the chief's bonfire in the candlelight. When Mrs. Latimer discovered it, you were asleep at your desk. She touched the empty wells on the paper. her fingertips tingling with invisible starlight. A blank space more sacred than printed words. Pastor Hale remained silent for a long time, finally adding a note in the margin. The ink is missing here, proving that divine revelations cannot be fully recorded. Asterisk, feeling the pearls of words in my throat beat against my collarbone. 30 miniature graves. Watching the embers of the fire rekindle into ghostly constellations on the Bible pages. Smelling the lingering sweet scent of death on my fingertips. The grammar of souls untamed by the gospel, asterisk. The blue flames of the chieftain's funeral still dance across your retinas, yet you kneel beside the printing press, a sealing spoon suspended over the final page of the Genesis manuscript. The golden wax liquid sways like a miniature sun. A drop of sweat slides down your eyelash. Trembling, the wax liquid deviates from its path and falls toward the blank edge of the page. Time collapses. The dull thud of a wax bead striking the parchment quickly spreads into an amber-colored full moon. The edge swallows the final syllable. God saw that everything he had made was very good of the word. Oh no, Pastor Hell reached out to tear the page. You stopped him. Wait. The solidifying wax was performing a miracle. One with the swallow protruded beneath the wax layer, like fossilized fish bones. 2 as the edges cooled and contracted, they dragged he into the wax, forming Udalohai/island. 3 you blew on it to speed up the cooling, and the air currents pressed ripples into the wax, just like the chief's dying words, the cracks on a deer antler touching ice. Even more marvelous is the secret revealed by morning light. When the first rays of sunlight penetrate, a speck of dust hovers at the core of the wax imprint. The ashes of words carried by last night's fired as the light penetrates. It casts the silhouette of a hummingbird flapping its wings on the wall, its beak piercing the character in the wax imprint, as if trying to break the seal of very good. The flaw sanctifies it, Mrs. Latimer said, gently scraping the wax surface with a silver knife. Now this page is breathing. Pastor Hale silently pressed the steel seal. The design was crossed quill pens and pine branches, the edges pressing down on the wax, permanently codifying it. You cut a lock of hair and embedded it in the wax layer, /8SD/thread of life. The hair curled into the Cherokee number, Pseudolith/7, in the amber. The day of the divine breath. That night, as you proofread the end of the book of Revelation, the wax seal area gave off a faint warmth. You touched it with your finger and realized that it changed with the phases of the moon. New moon night, cold and hard as a teardrop. Full moon night, soft as a honeycomb. Moonless night, exuding the fragrance of pine resin. Secret experiment. Drip water onto the wax surface. The water droplets do not disperse, but roll like 8-TSI/Mercury, absorbing the indigo particles in the ink and drawing a miniature star map on the surface. When Pastor Heil stumbled upon it, he lied. It's due condensation. He pulled out a bishop's ring and pressed the red gemstone against the wax seal. The crack in the gemstone overlapped with the 7 formed by the hair in the wax. Sacred resonance, he whispered, and from then on, he walked 3 meters around this page. On the eve of binding, you completed the final alteration. Using a needle tip, you carved the symbol Stardust Blue Light into the bottom of the wax seal, invisible to the naked eye. But when the Owl Chief's word beads were applied, they emitted a humming sound like a hummingbird's wings. The bear-toothed necklace finally retired. The 12 teeth were embedded into the oak cover, arranged in the constellation of the winter bear. When fingers traced the tooth grooves, the entire Bible trembled slightly, emitting the low murmur of USDI/underground river. The wax seal pulsates in the palm, an amber clock sealed with a hummingbird's heartbeat. Watch the hair strands unfurl under moonlight into tributaries of the Milky Way. Inhale the pine resin's fragrance as it rises and falls with the moon's phases. The Earth's tidal response to heaven. On the 7th day that the bear's tooth constellation froze on the oak cover, light snow began to fall. Without announcement or chimes, the printing press spat out the last page of the title page, and the ink vapor condensed into a matte rainbow in the cold air. When the warehouse door opened, snow, dust swirled in. 500 Cherokee Bibles stacked as high as the rafters. The air currents released by the breathing pages carried snowflakes and dance. Snowflakes fell on the word, God, and did not melt, accumulating into miniature Utana/Snow Mountain. The ink sank heavily, settling into the floorboards as a faint, fossilized fragrance. The only sound, the crisp snap of snow-crushed pine branches, like distant bones breaking. Mrs. Latimer picks up a book. The parchment cover is icy cold, and frost flowers cling to the bare tooth grooves. Like a hibernating bear, she says, her breath turning into white mist that is absorbed by the pages. It is waiting for spring. Pastor Hale flips through the book of Job with his woolen gloves. Snowflakes fall through cracks in the roof, turning him into a moving snowman. He stops at chapter 38. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Just as the word, foundations, was covered by snowflakes. He stared at it for a long time, unwilling to brush it away. You walk deeper into the warehouse. In the darkness, unbound pages float in the snowlight. The Song of Songs chapters wrap around the beams like Uli/Ivy. Psalm 23 forms a glowing path, crunching like dry reeds underfoot. In the deepest corner, oak barrels soaked in indigo ink fermented quietly, the bubbles rising inside synchronized with the falling snow. You untied the bare tooth necklace and threw it into the ink barrel. As the teeth sank to the bottom, 12 ripples spread out simultaneously, stirring the snow that had accumulated in the warehouse. As the snow curtain rises, a Bible slips from the top of the pile of books. It falls open on the snow, revealing the last page of Genesis, sealed with wax. The falling snow selectively melts on the wax, revealing a circle of wet marks, a perfect circle, like the flawless moon created by God. No crowd gathered. No kuwairsan. Ada slipped a bunch of unviduda/passion flower through the door crack. The frozen petals shattered into blue-purple stars upon touching the book pile, adhering to the word heaven. As dusk falls, you lock the warehouse. The moment the key turns, 500 books release a single sigh. The footprints in the snow are covered by fresh snow, as if no one had ever been there. Only the scent of ink seeps into the snow, announcing that certain sleeping things are dreaming of sprouting. Feel snowflakes forming miniature glaciers on the word love. Watch ink bubbles carry unborn words to the surface. Smell the wetting of snow, pine resin, and old paper in the darkness, silent as a god closing its eyes. When the snow stopped, you returned to your homeland with the last half of your indigo inkwell. The streams of Georgia were still Uwiladi/thin ice, and flocks of crows cut through the iron gray sky. You knelt in your grandmother's abandoned herb garden and opened the blank birch bark. The tip of a needle was the same one that had once carved wax seals, and the ink was frozen blue blood. As the first drop fell, the ice cracked. The indigo spread across the birch bark, forming a Milky Way. You guide the ink flow with the needle tip, outlining the Cherokee constellation of the Sun Chaser. /the Sun Chaser. The stream beneath the ice sparkles in response, projecting its reflection onto the star chart. Suddenly, the inkwell tips over. The remaining ink splashes onto the bark. Disaster? Divine revelation? A deep blue waterfall swallows the star arrows and spreads toward the edge. You toss the bare tooth necklace to suppress it. The teeth pierce the bark, and the ink is divided into tributaries by 12 anchor points, each automatically curling into Cherokee numerals. 1. Pierces Orion with its sharp corners. 2. Ensnares the Big Dipper with its curved lines. By 100. The ink dries into cracked patterns, just as you lament. The sunset pierces the clouds. Golden light shines through the bark. The thick ink casts shadows like mountains. Bare tooth holes leak light into constellations. The most astonishing, the cracked patterns transform into streams of light, rushing through the gaps in the star map. You realize this is a living celestial calendar. When the moon is waning, the cracks contract like dormant tree roots. When the moon is full, the streams of light expand into a Milky Way. On the winter solstice night, the bare tooth projections align with the real Big Dipper. On the eve of your return, a blizzard returns. You hide the birch bark star map in the frozen streams. USDE/LV/whirlpool tune. As the ice closes, the indigo star map emits the sound of hummingbird wings, attracting 3 ravens to dive and peck at the ice surface. 10 years later, white astronomers discovered that this stream had magnetic anomalies. On the night of the winter solstice, blue star patterns appeared on the ice surface, which they named the Cherokee Ghost Star Map. You touch the wax seal on the Bible and smile. The cracks in the star patterns are exactly the same as the cracks in the ink you splashed back then. When snow falls thickly on your head, you finally understand. All translations are the comet's tail sweeping across different linguistic ice fields, and the light trails choose their own places to be reborn. You feel the hummingbird's heartbeat from the star map beneath the ice layer pulsing through your feet into your veins. You watch the raven's beaks pecking at the ice surface, scattering fragments of light. You smell the cold, pungent fragrance of snow and old ink fermenting in time and space. So the snow continues to fall into the amber of the wax seal, into the unfinished star map, forming white punctuation marks between the letters. You can no longer tell if it is the pages breathing or your own breath becoming part of the scripture. The scent of ink sinks into your bones, lighter than feathers, cradling you. The sensation of the raven's beak lingers on your fingertips, that faint tremor, like a heartbeat transmitted through feathers. The cold fragrance of pine resin and frozen earth weaves a net, catching all falling consciousness that I am the grooves of the bare tooth necklace. 12-word beads begin to hum. Their melody, the rhythm of ice cracking as streams thaw, the crackling of stardust in a chief's fire. The warmth of the wax seal spreads from the spine of the book to the pillow, and moonlight filters through it, casting the silhouette of a hummingbird flying across the Milky Way onto my eyelids. The sound of snow falling gradually transforms into the gentle clinking of lead type in a tray, into the rustling of pages turning, into the supple sound of mushrooms unfolding on parchment during that rainy season. Let the star trails of leftover ink guide you into deeper tranquility. Let the streams of light in the cracks carry your thoughts away. Here, there is no beginning or end. Only the endless expanse of snowfield between words. Only the unfinished amen, suspended in the warm darkness of the entrance. Sleep now, for in this moment, you are the nest where words rest. Good night.